Got fatter.
1 hour later.
Your tail. It's really filled out, huh?
Source: Minaria Friends. Welcome back to AniRecaps. Like and subscribe so you never miss our quality uploads. Our story begins with two young princesses getting ready in the morning to attend the prestigious magic school, Mysteria Academy. The school accepts all kinds of races, demons and gods without any discrimination. Both girls leave their rooms and go to school. In the cafeteria, Princess Greya, a half-dragon and half-human, gets her lunch and sees how groups of students hang out and talk to each other. With a sad sigh, she moves out of the cafeteria. Princess Anne of the Kingdom of Mysteria enters the cafeteria. Her fellow students immediately take notice and greet her. She moves around the cafeteria smiling and greeting them back. Eventually, Anne goes outside to find Greya reading. She sits at her table and a servant brings her food. Greya greets her using her official title. Anne convinces her to call her just by her name, as she is also a princess. Greya, although hesitant, relents and calls her Anne. She is glad about this. They talk about the book Anne had recommended. Greya has not finished it yet, but is thankful for the recommendation. She finds reading about the Kingdom of Mysteria and learning more about Anne interesting. Anne is happy she liked the book and informs her that the Mysteria Library is split into a bunch of different languages, and there are so many books to choose from that you may want to read all of them. She even found a book about the country of Dragonborns. She asks Greya about life in her country. She is hesitant to answer, but says that the animals there are a lot bigger than the ones in Mysteria. Anne is amazed by this. She asks why Greya chose to study in Mysteria. Greya reveals that her mother went to school in Mysteria. Their conversation is interrupted by their classmate Lou, who runs towards them. In her rush to call Anne, she trips and hits her head on the wall. Anne helps her get up, and Lou grabs Anne's hand and tells her that there is a problem at the library. Before Anne can say anything, Lou pulls her to the library. Anne shouts to Greya to wait for her until she comes back. In the library, class president Hannah, along with other fellow officers, tries to stop the library guardian from spreading havoc. Anne asks Lou what happened, but Lou only apologizes. Anna turns to Hannah and asks if she is okay. The presence of Anne surprises Hannah. Lou apologizes for stepping over her authority. Anna decides to cast a spell to encase the guardian. She tells the students to clear the area. She asks Hannah if she can seal the guardian. She agrees, and Anna takes out her grimoire and uses magic to seal the guardian. However, the magic is so powerful that it also freezes everything in the library. After, Anne apologizes to Hannah for what happened. Hannah tells her that it is okay as none of it is her fault, as she had asked her to seal the guardian. She admits that she was not able to handle the situation on her own and feels that she is not qualified to be class president. She feels that she is not strong enough. Anne asks if she can help with anything else. Hannah thanked her for her help, but she had provided more than enough help already. She starts reading through some reports. Anne is bewildered about what to do, but decides to leave Hannah's office. She roams around the campus thinking about the events that transpired. She goes to the now empty cafeteria and finds Greya where she had left her. She pauses upon seeing her. She watches her playing with a card before calling out to her. Greya asks her if she had taken care of the problem in the library. Anne informs her that she has, but also accidentally covered everything in ice after sealing the guardian of the library. This surprises Greya. Anne explains that the guardian was upset and causing such a scene, so she had to do it. She also stayed to help everyone deal with the aftermath. As she was telling her story, she looked sad. Greya tells her that she did her best, making Anne feel better. Anne notices the food tray beside Greya. She asks her if she had been sitting there since she left her. Greya affirms this and tells her that she had kept her waiting for a long. Greya's words make Anne blush. Greya asks whether she is hungry. Anne informs that she hasn't eaten anything since breakfast. Greya gets up and asks to join her for food, to which she agrees. Both friends leave to eat and start discussing the type of food they prefer. The following day at school, Anne and Greya were sitting and talking to each other. A 17-year-old boy named Owen watches over them. He is a paladin of the kingdom and has been charged as guardian of the palace. But he was assigned to guard the princess, to which he pledges upon his life to do everything in his power to keep Princess Anne safe. He recalls how the princess met with him and told him to take it easy. Owen narrates that the princess was born with extraordinary magical powers and has been trained in the palace to be an effective ruler. She still wanted to improve her abilities. So, she became a student at the Mysteria Academy. Her powers made her the center of everyone's attention. But Owen notes that behind her smiles, he sees a sliver of loneliness. He has always offered everything in service of the princess. After a few days, Greya suddenly falls severely ill and seems untreatable. She feels immense pain and her body trembles badly, which makes her look miserable. Her class instructor Miranda and class president Hannah try to calm her down and test her to find the reason for her illness, but they end up with no solution. They seem to know little about the treatments of Dragonborn, but they keep searching for a way to help Greya. While Miranda and Hannah discuss finding a way to treat Greya, she starts moaning in pain. Miranda instructs Hannah to hold Greya's tail. Anne bursts into the room. She pants and tries catching her breath as she asks about Greya's situation. Anne holds Greya's hand and tries to lessen her pain by using healing magic to comfort her. Miranda informs her that she and Hannah have already tried various forms of healing magic, but they did not affect her at all. Around the room, there are books, medicines, and plants scattered all over. However, despite everyone's efforts, Greya remains in pain. Anne tries to talk to Greya, but she does not respond. Miranda informs Anne that they have checked every part of Greya's body but didn't find any external injuries. She believes whatever is happening to Greya is something unique that only happens with Dragonborns, but they are unaware of it. Owen opens the room door, and Lou enters carrying a stack of books. Just after entering the room, she trips and drops all the books. Hannah scolds her for being so clumsy and picks up one of the books. The book is about medicines for goblins. Lou reasons that she brought these books because she thinks they might help Greya with her disease. Miranda also comes to help pick up the books but finds a book that is not suitable for young minds. She asks Lou where she got the books because the book she held was prohibited for students. Lou informs her that she went to the library and explained that there was an emergency with Greya's health, so the person on the desk lent her all these books. This worries Miranda, and she feels a bit furious about the person at the library desk who lent such books to students. Hearing about the prohibited books, Anne gets an idea. She gets up, rushes out of the room, and tells them to keep an eye on Greya. Anne, together with Owen, runs through the library and enters a section with pictures on the wall locked with metal chains. Anne, using magic power, places her hand inside one of the pictures and opens the door. They go through it and reach an underground cavern lit with red rays of light piercing from the ceiling. They run through and reach a large door having strange signs on it. Anne applies the magic on the door sign, lighting it up. The door opens and they rush through a large corridor. Back in Grez's room, Lou wonders where Anne might have run off to. Hannah surmises that she went to the forbidden archives of the library. Anne searches through the floating shelves in the forbidden archives for clues to help Greya. They are next seen running through a forest with Anne holding a stone tablet. A monster jumps from the trees. She uses her magic to stop it. She then searches through another book using magic. She absorbs the information from the book and starts running again. Back in the room, Lou checks Greya's temperature and informs Hannah and Miranda that her temperature is very high. As a teacher, Miranda takes charge of the situation. She checks Greya's temperature and informs Hannah to prepare medicine to help lower Greya's temperature. Anne, desperate to treat Greya, is now moving on air with her magic. Owen shows his concern, but Anne wants him not to worry for her. Above a lake, Anne closes her grimoire and plunges straight into the river. Owen follows her in, using a magic bubble to breathe underwater. Both journey toward a stone. Anne places her hand on the stone and absorbs information that may help with Greya's condition. The cogs spinning in the school's library start shaking and an explosion engulfs the center of the library. Anne and Owen appear. She asks if they were in the library. Owen notes that they may have found a shortcut without realizing it. They start running. Anne gives Owens a list of materials she needs, and they separate at the door. Anne starts working on the potion, and Owen arrives with the ingredients. Anne realizes they need a dragon scale for it. Inside Grea's room, Hannah and Miranda are preparing medicines for her treatment. Grea finally gets up, surprising Lou. Grea raises her wings and bright lights come out of her. Anne enters the room and sees rays of sparkling lights emanating out of her body. A cracking sound is heard as a bright light travels from the tip of Grea's tail all the way to the base of it. Anne watches in awe at Grea's transformation. Anne approaches her and she opens her eyes. Puzzled by their presence, Grea greets them good morning. Seeing this, Anne cries and hugs her. Hannah, Lou, and Miranda breathe a sigh of relief. The library, however, is in shambles after Anne's explosive entrance from her quest. In the end, everything gets back to normal. Grea informs Anne that everything happened because she was undergoing a molting process. Whenever she grows, her body goes through such a process and gets bigger from the previous. Grea is a bit shy due to the events. Anne notes that her chest may have gotten bigger. Grea takes a look and says that is a possibility. Anne realizes that she just needed to leave Grea be. She apologizes for all the things Anne had to go through. Annie assures her that it was okay, as in the end, she didn't help at all. If she had known, she would just have stayed by her side. Grea blushes. Anne tells her that her transformation was beautiful. Grea sees that is holding something behind her back. When Grea inquires, Anne shows the molted scales from Grea's tail. Anne pledges to let her keep it as a sign of their growth. Grea blushes again and calls her a dummy. Later, inside her room, Grea notices that her tail had gotten larger. She goes through various ways to thinner it. The following day during breakfast at school, Grea avoids her food. Anne notices this and asks why she is not eating, as she needs her strength after the molting process. She moves closer to Grea, but she moves away from her. Anne tricks her and is able to see her enlarged tail. This statement devastates Grea. Anne continues and says that she finds her tail looking great. Grea, however, embarrassed by the previous statement, grabs her tray and moves back into the cafeteria. On a holiday, Anne knocks at Grea's door wearing glasses and braid unusual of her. Grea, still in her sleeping dress, inquires about her purpose of visiting her early and on and off day. Before answering Grea's question and revealing her purpose for coming to her room, she asks about Grea's hair, which she recently cut. Grea's hair was grown a bit longer because of the molting. Grea shyly affirms her observations. Anne reveals that she is here to ask her out to go shopping in town. Grea wants to go, but since she has suddenly grown and has nothing of her size, she wishes to deny Anne's offer. Anne already knew of this dilemma and came prepared with clothes to fit her new size. Grea initially feels embarrassed, but then she agrees to take the clothes and go out with her. Both princesses then go out to town wearing their cute disguises. Anne believes that her disguise will enable her to blend in. However, soon as she goes out, the people are able to recognize her immediately. They gather around her and try to talk to her. After Anne is finished dealing with the crowd, she goes back to Grea. Grea admires how Anne is able to be a well-liked princess to her constituents. Both princesses decide to fully enjoy their time in the town. They pass through streets and check every shop and stall they come by. They go to a pet shop and have fun with the puppies. They go to the sword shop and try to pick up the sword to check their strengths. All their strolling makes them a bit hungry, so they have dessert and relax a bit. After having so much fun, Anne finds a mysterious alley for them to explore. While they are walking along the alley, they find it dreary and with no people around. This makes it scary for them, but before they decide to leave the alley, they come across a clothing shop. As Anne wanted to buy new clothes for Grea, they go inside the shop. Inside the shop, they do not find any workers. There are scattered pieces of clothing and lots of unfinished dresses and dressmaking materials. The store is more like a workshop. They explore the shop, and Anne's eye catches a headless dummy wearing a sports shirt top and swimming underwear on the bottom. This curious design fascinates her and she touches it. Suddenly, a woman appears from behind the dummy. The woman welcomes them to the shop and informs them it offers different kinds of clothing, from unique battle armor to cute little princess dresses. Before she says anything more, the woman's eyes widen as she recognizes Anne and Grea. The woman turns out to be their class teacher, Miranda. She explains to them that she owns the store and that sewing is her hobby. She sells clothes to make a profit out of her hobby. Grea asks if the school allows its teachers to have side jobs. Miranda panics and offers them a deal to take anything from the shop for free. This offer excites Anne as this was the purpose of their shopping to find clothes for Greya. She pushes Greya to try on different types of dresses. Anne herself also tries on different outfits, and every outfit seems to suit her innocent character. However, Greya is standing on the side and is hesitant to try any outfit. When Greya tries to run out, Miranda and Anne capture her and force her into the changing room to try on a dress. As she tries on a dress, Miranda gives Anne a pair of matching pajamas that couples usually wear during their sleepovers. Greya finally tries on an outfit, and Miranda and Anne are startled to see her in new clothes that fit perfectly. Without a second thought, Anne asks Miranda to pack the dress for Greya and also the matching pajamas for them. Exhausted from all the shopping they did, they both sit near a lake with a beautiful view of the town and enjoy desserts. A boat sails past them and Greya admires it. She wishes to ride a boat and Anne agrees with her idea. While on the boat, Anne keeps holding onto Greya's tail and a grimoire all the time. It makes Greya question her weird behavior. Anne reveals that she does not know to swim, and that's why she is holding her grimoire because she can do anything with her magic, including walking on water or breathing under it. Greya calms her down a bit and talks to her. She thanks Anne for bringing her to the town and wishes to go out with her again. It cheers Anne up, and she stands up in excitement. But as soon as Anne stands, she loses her balance on the boat and falls on Greya. They both suddenly pause at their position with Anne's knees in between Greya's thighs and Anne's head close to Greya big bottoms. Their eyes meet and both their cheeks turn red. Anne straightens out and Greya asks if she is fine as she gets up as well. Both princesses are at a loss for words as a moment passes in silence. Anne breaks the awkwardness by bringing up the matching pajamas Miranda had given them. She asks Greya whether they can sometimes do a sleepover in Greya's room. Anne is expecting a positive response, but Greya lets her down. Later at night in her room, Annie feels very anxious about Greya's words and really wants to have a sleepover with her, but she does not understand why she had turned her down. Greya, in her room, changes into a very skimpy outfit and goes to bed to sleep. She moves her tail between her legs to sleep while holding it. It appears that since childhood, Greya has gotten used to sleeping with this odd pose, making her look weird. She does not want Anne to see her sleep like this. The next day after class, Anne and Greya approach Miss Miranda and ask her why she is not heading home. Miranda informs them about the students' tests which are coming, and she has to prepare for that. Greya and Anne offer their help, but Miranda thanks them and tells them to go home. As soon as every student leaves the class, Miranda's personality changes to someone seemingly possessed. With her magic, she brings clothes and her dressmaking materials out and continues sewing more clothes. However, she thinks she needs help to overcome her obsession with her hobby, but she still finds it fun. After finishing new designs, she wonders whom to make them wear in order to check their look. As Miranda was just thinking about it, Anne and Greya come back to the room because they want to ask Miranda some study-related questions. They get surprised by Miranda with all such clothes, but Miranda, after seeing them, feels excited. She is going to make them a model for her newly sewn clothes. After a few days, Greya and Anne are enjoying the lovely weather in a nearby abandoned palace, enjoying the melody on the piano. Greya plays the piano, which is under a beautiful old tree, while Anne sits and enjoys the music. Anne seems content with her life, listening to the piano, reading a book, and having tea. While listening to the piano, Annie is so mesmerized by the melody that she closes her book, stands up, and begins dancing. She continues dancing until Greya ends playing the piano, and Anne freely falls on the flower bed. She then stands up and approaches Greya to commend her piano skills. Greya wishes to have more chances to practice here since she believes she is not that good. When Greya wishes to practice more often, Anne offers to visit the place again tomorrow. However, Greya says that they have tests coming ahead and she wants to keep focused on studying. So it would be difficult for her to be back here for piano practice. It saddens Anne, but still she gathers herself. Test time is fast approaching and students are studying to give their best on the test. After the class, Miranda also best wishes students and informs them that she is available for them if they have any questions about any topic. A lot of students approach her to ask help for with the test. However, Anne does not bother about the test anyway. She already knows everything and is smart enough to ace any test. When students approach Miranda, Anne silently packs her books and leaves the class. Omen inquires about her departure, and she informs him that since everyone else is busy getting ready for the test, she decides to borrow the next volume of the book she has just finished. Anne visits the library and borrows the next volume of the book. After she gets the book, she comes to see Hannah teaching her fellow students to help them understand various topics for the test. Anne volunteers to teach them, but it comes out that her teaching style and knowledge are far beyond the average brain. At the end of Anne's lecture, students remain clueless and confused. Hannah appreciates her for delivering such an amazing lesson, but after suspecting that other fellows didn't understand her much, she agrees to review the topic for them again. Anne finds herself lonely again and fails to get involved with other fellows. Sadly, she departs from there. She sits on the bench alone in her free time and notices everything around her. Suddenly, Anne comes to see Greya carrying a pile of books. Anne rushes to Greya and offers to help her carry the books, but Greya once again let her down, saying she must have other things to take care of. Greya leaves for her studies. Anne is all alone again. During the lunch break, Anne eats her food alone. When Anne looks around, she finds people eating and spending time together. However, there is no one who sits beside her. With Greya also busy with test preparations, Annie is isolated in the crowded cafeteria. The next day, every student eagerly attends the classes and discusses things with teachers to prepare for the best. Wherever Anne goes, she finds students talking together, studying and discussing things, but she has no one to share her thoughts with. Anne finds herself completely alone and secluded. During the lunch break, Anne has her food alone, sitting on the bench. Meantime, Greya passes behind the corridor and feels sad to see Anne all alone. Suddenly, Anne could not take the loneliness more. She goes through the forest and reaches the same abandoned palace where Greya played the piano. Just reaching there, Anne has a flashback of her time with Greya and the beautiful afternoon they spent here. Her thoughts evaporate when raindrops start pouring. The rain, lonely piano, and melancholic atmosphere make her even sadder. The test day finally comes, and Anne finishes the test first. She quietly hands in her paper to Miranda and leaves the class without making any noise. After her test, Greya finally gets free and finds the time to look for Anne, but she does not find her anywhere. Worried about Anne, Greya uses her intuition to find Anne. She goes to the same abandoned palace where she thinks she can find Anne. When Greya reaches the piano, she finds Anne there. Annie is sitting all lonely and sad. Greya approaches her and asks about her test. Anne first resists answering her, but then she bursts into tears and tells Greya that she was so lonely. Greya understands Anne and offers to play the piano along with her. Anne agrees, and both friends play the melodious tone of the piano sitting under the falling autumn leaves. That night, Anne, as usual, finishes reading her book. She wonders what Greya would be doing at this late hour of the night. Greya, in her room, serves herself a delicious cup of tea and happily looks at the moon. She is thankful for her lovely life. Anne falls asleep while thinking about Greya. Her servant covers her with a blanket. Meanwhile, in another room, Hannah and Poppy also have a happy time together as roommates. Hannah, while sleeping, wishes to meet and talk to Greya again tomorrow. Since the written test is over, the students have to go through a defensive drill on their own. The idea of drill excites Anne a lot since she believes she hadn't put her magic to any work latterly. Poppy further explains the drill, saying the students will evacuate to the bridge gate and the communication building while all the monsters assault the school. The teachers will provide students with dummy monsters for defensive drills. Miranda tells them to provide many monsters to ensure students participate with all their effort and determination. Annie is really excited and believes she can put down any monster with her single attack. Anne's excitement makes Hannah explains the entire scenario, which Anne seems unaware of. Hannah informs Anne that for this drill, all students have decided not to let Anne participate and only observe the drill. It is because Anne is too strong, and if she participates, students will rely on her and not give their best. It makes Anne really sad because she was excitedly looking for the drill and wanted to participate. But in the end, to achieve the beneficial purpose of the drill, she has to skip out. However, Anne keeps on forcing them to let her in the drill, but they believe that Anne, with only a single attack, can blow the ground and can cause damage to the school building. As the student council has also agreed to the idea of letting Anne only observe and teachers also want the same, Anne is refrained from participating. However, about Greya, she is participating as a member of the interception group. Anne finds it unfair as she wants to participate in the drill, but the decision is made and everyone agrees to keep Anne out of the drill, only to let her observe the entire event. The drill begins with students rushing and using magic to save themselves from the monsters, which are just magic-made dummies. Students try hard but do not stand against any of the monsters. They decide to leave one of the occupied areas and regroup. They decide to hold back against monsters and prepare to raise the barrier against monsters. Explosions start everywhere in the school. The leaders of the battlefield make sure to evacuate every student quickly. After evacuating the area, they seal it off, but monsters keep on going and break the protective barrier they had. Students start fighting everywhere, but when they are not able to hold back the monsters, they report to Hannah, the class president, that students are unable to count the number of monsters and believe the monsters are multiplying endlessly. They try to look for a magic portal that is bringing monsters into the field but are unable to do so. Hannah, along with some other students, is inside the school and is keeping an eye on the whole scenario with a map of the school. In their operations center, they strategize to stop the monsters from getting further inside the school. One of the students suggests raising the barrier, so monsters won't get any further, but soon they realize that the monsters are able to break it in no time and leaving them with fewer options. There is hustle around, and students are not aware of further plans. They are even unaware of the number of students being evacuated from the battlefield. Hannah finds the situation really difficult because all their plans are not working. In addition, the number of monsters is far beyond what they had expected. However, Poppy thinks the monsters are coming from inside the school and they must find the monster's source. This is easier said than done. Just then, information comes in that the monsters are taking over the administrative building. Poppy and Hannah check the monsters' attack report and learn the monsters are only attacking the areas where students are gathered. They also learn that the first line of defense students made was of no use. Hannah orders to keep a record of the present circumstances. More students approach her and inform her that the door on the southwest side isn't going to hold against monsters, and monsters are about to invade the school's southern building. Students wonder about the barrier and the defense team responsible for keeping monsters away. But to their dismay, the defense team is already injured and is unable to put up the barrier. Hannah still believes that there must be a way to eliminate all the monsters. With her fellow students suffering, Hannah is struggling to make any decision and find ways to defeat the monsters. She comes to know about the southwest door, which is recently taken down by monsters. Soon, the medical building is also overrun, and the students who require immediate aid cannot go there anymore. The academy is down and the rest of the students are still struggling with monsters. Elsewhere, Greya has to fight the three-eyed giant monster, which looks way more powerful than Greya. However, Greya manages to stand in front of the monster and delivers a sharp punch to make him fall to the ground. The monster is defeated, but Greya is also tired of such combat. Meantime, Anne, with other teachers, is only observing the entire drill. Anne tries to go and help her friends, but she gets stopped by Miranda and Heinlein. They want Anne to respect the decision made and stay out of the drill. Meantime, at school, Hannah is shocked by the fall of the medical building. She then checks the list of students stuck inside the campus, and Poppy informs her that the number of stuck students is quite a few, but they don't have accurate numbers. Hannah regrets being so powerless without Princess Anne. She tries to think like Anne to get out of the situation. Suddenly, reports come in that the auditorium building is being attacked. It shocks everyone since monsters are now really close to them and are about to surround them. The students start panicking when they learn that the auditorium building has been taken by the monsters. Another student brings the news of the defeat of the defense team and that the entire team was totally wiped out. Now there is no option left then to retreat. It is difficult for Hannah to take the decision, but she finally announces to abandon the southern building as well as the building they are in. Meantime, all teachers are seeing students' situation tackling powers by observing dummy maps. They wonder whether the students will manage to retreat successfully and come out of the building. Anne, who stands behind the teachers, worries about her fellow students. Unable to stand their suffering, she resolves to find a way to help them. Miranda and Jill move to assist students to end the drill. Anne wanted to accompany them, but they told her to stay where she was. Back in school, Hannah, Greya, and the rest of the students come out of the building, which is currently under a monster's attack. Greya feels sorry for not saving the building, but Hannah encourages her and strengthens her morale. Back with Anne, she studies the map and leaves with Owen to help her classmates. They slip out without anyone noticing them. Meantime, students are adjusting their positions and deciding on how to defend against that monster's attacks. They've decided to shut the bridge gate from where they suspect the portal is. As they're discussing this, a giant goblin monster comes out of the ground in front of Greya, leaving her option but to fight with it. Greya tries her best to fight it, but the monster, with a single strike, knocks Greya back. As the monster tries to land a fatal strike on Greya, but a powerful magic stops it and saves Greya. Anne had arrived there, but students, along with teachers, are surprised to see her since she was not allowed to come. Anne then uses her powerful magic to summon a supporting spirit to kill the monster. However, the monster's fall badly damages the school building. The teachers immediately end the drill and eliminate all the monsters. When everything ends, Hannah reprimands Anne for not having control of her powerful magic, which always causes havoc. The school building is so damaged because of Anne's attack, and the building will remain closed for a while. After all the excitement of the mock battle, the school brings all the students onto the beach for some fun. Hannah and Liz plan to play volleyball. Hannah informs Liz that she will not go easy on her because of the fact that she is her junior. Liz also claims she plays to win and has no intention to lose to her. Miranda acts as a referee, and both make the teams play the game. The students prepare to watch an epic volleyball match. With this, we end our video. Stay tuned for the next part and watch our other quality contents. Stay safe. Bye.